And a good morning to everyone. This is our Monday morning Mastermind seminar series. And I want to thank everybody that showed up to our live event on Saturday morning. And we had really good feedback from the people that were there. And of course, this is an important enough topic that I thought I'd redo this. And we had a technical glitch with recording. So what I've done is I've created some new visuals just to kind of make this a little easier to follow through. And we're going to redo basically the same training we did on Saturday. We're going to do this a little more quickly than we did on Saturday. Saturday we spent about 2 hours, so there was a lot of actual work done. So we're not going to slow the process down with actual work today, but we are going to go through it. So without further ado, let's talk about the ultimate business plan. Okay? Now, number one, I hope you like my visual. That's not me, by the way. It's just a happy kid. And I don't think very few of us, with the exception of CMOS, were born with the idea that they wanted to get into real estate. I think most of us went into something else, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed as this guy is, and we ended up in the real estate business. But I think for the most part, we got into the real estate business for one of several reasons. Either we were told from the outside that you can make bags of money in real estate, or it's you're your own boss, or whatever other kind of personal satisfaction that we get out of it. And certainly I kind of agree with all of them. This business can give us a higher income, it can give us freedom, and it can give us a lot of satisfaction if we take it seriously. Now, you've heard me talk about some of this, and if some of you are hearing, yeah, I've heard this all before, it's redundant, you got to ask yourself this. If you're not getting what you want out of your business right now, you got to pay attention again, and sometimes you got to repeat things, 7 times. Sometimes I'm pretty thick. I got to hear things 10 times for it to really register. So we begin with the end in mind, as Stephen Covey says, and obviously a great book. I highly recommend everybody get a copy and buy a paperback book, read it, mark it up, read it through again. This should be one of the Bibles for your real estate business in terms of effectiveness and scheduling and so on. Now, again, hopefully you're listening to this, and remember, this will be recorded, so you can listen to the recording afterwards. But if you're listening in right now, get a paper and pen and go through some of the exercises that we're going to go through in real time as quickly as we're walking through them. And just picture it's 12 months from now, and you've had your absolute best year ever. Ask yourself, what net income did you make? Now, this is not what net income would you like to make. You've had your best year ever, and you're reflecting backwards. What net income did you actually make? And write that figure down. And try not to be reasonable. Try to think big. And next, how many hours per week did you work? Remember, your best year ever. Did you work 80 hours a week? I wouldn't qualify that as your best year ever because you worked like a dog. Because remember, we also want balance. We've got high income, we want a balanced schedule, and how many vacations did you take? I'd like to get to the point where I'm taking, 12 vacations a year, one every month. But how about 4 vacations a year? I think that would be a nice balance. If you had a great year, I think most of you can agree that 4 vacations a year would be a good one. And you've had high income. You didn't work like a dog. You had vacations. How do you feel about that? And get present to that, because I think it's important to remember that. And again, it's more than just the numbers, right? So think about who are your family and friends that you'd want to spend the most amount of time with. How many years would you like to work in the business? This is not a forever thing. I think we all should be thinking about what's our exit strategy. And how would you leave the business? Would you sell it, close it, partner with someone else? I think ideally we'd want to sell it or partner with someone else as opposed to just shutting it down and getting nothing for our years of effort. So then you got to ask yourself, is your business saleable right now, or are you even on track to make it saleable? Okay? So lastly, what excites you most about the business? I mean, there are ups and downs of the business, but I know I enjoy, for me, I get a real high from negotiating deals and seeing that deal firm up. And of course, the closing is just, we have to eat, so the closings are there and they help us. But I get excitement about doing deals. I still like that. And I still like the joy of meeting somebody new who's a great client that wants to work with us, wants to refer us people. And, for me, that's what it is. So think about what is it for you that excites you most about this business. And we start with some attitude adjustment. And, I love this guy. He exemplifies somebody who has it all, and does it with a smile on his face. And I love his quote, "Entrepreneurship is living a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't." another quick read, Branson's book, Screw It, Let's Do It. I just love that attitude. And you know what? You got to have a sense of humor, and you got to have a little aggression. Now, the first question you want to ask yourself before we're designing our business plan is, where is your business right now? Are you in salesperson mode, or are you in business owner mode, looking at profits and analyzing numbers? Are you in panic, or are you smiling? And I think most of us have an instinct on where we are, but just in case you're not sure, let's do a simple little test. And just get a blank piece of paper and write a line down the middle, and let's go one by one. And if you're in a salesperson, put a check mark on the left, and if you're in business owner mode, put a check mark on the right. And let's go through the questions. Is your current income lower than you want or higher than you want? Are you working nights, days, and weekends, or are you really working the schedule that you really want with all the time off you want? Is your cash flow consistent or inconsistent? Is your income predictable or unpredictable? Are you in bill-paying mode or business-building mode? In other words, are you living paycheck to paycheck or really working on building your business? Is your marketing reactive or proactive? In other words, do you have a regularly scheduled marketing agenda that happens week after week, month after month, or do you only go into that mode when you're running out of deals and you feel a little pressure? And is your business you-dependent or systems-dependent? And if you're not sure, well, yeah, I'd do okay if I went away for a week. That's not systems-dependent. What would happen to your business if you went away for 6 months? And if your business wouldn't survive, and if you don't make money, then it's still a you-dependent business. So does your business control you, or do you control your business? Are you a generalist, or are you a specialist? Will you work with anybody and everybody, or do you have specialties that you promote and market? And lastly, do you have a scarcity mentality or an abundance mentality? Have you ever seen a system, a tool, a training, something that you knew would help your business, but because you were concerned about cash, you didn't pull the trigger, then you're in scarcity mentality. If you're in abundance mentality, you'd know it. So look at those check marks, and if you have more on the left than you do on the right, then you're still in salesperson mode. Now, here's one of the things that can help put us on track, regardless of where we are. It can help put us in business building mode, and this is something that I've looked at and focused on and really spent a lot of energy. Anytime I had to make a decision about a business system or direction, I looked at these 3 points. Number one, from the client's perspective, am I treating everyone with respect in a new marketing system, or the way I'm doing business, or how I'm returning calls? Number two, from the client's perspective, am I exceeding expectations? And lastly, from both ours and the client's perspective, are we doing what's in the best long-term interest? And, like for example, sometimes we could be jumping through hoops for the bad client. That's fun but hopeless. That's not best long-term. Or if we're not showing up to appointments on time, that's not treating people with respect, and it's certainly not exceeding expectations. So all of the systems that we should be implementing in our business should be focusing on these 3 points. And the word system keeps coming up for a reason. The system is the solution. Another book should be on your shelf. No excuses. Michael Gerber, the system is the solution. However, the purpose of your life is not to serve your business. The business should serve your life. So the objective is to build a business that works for us. And I don't know about you, but if I had to start from scratch and I knew I could build this business that worked for me, a machine that worked for me and gave me stability, and it took me 3 to 5 years to do it, I think that would be worth it. I know, based on what I know now, if I had to start from scratch with all of the experience I have, I could probably do it in 2 years. I might even be able to do it in 1 year. But if you're a little newer, what's wrong with 2 to 3 or 4 or even 5 years to build a business that will consistently give you high six-figure income and do it consistently? Think Starbucks. They have a system. Have a system for marketing, signage, customer service, product, follow-up. Every aspect of it is constantly monitored and updated and tested, and you have to agree it's consistent. You can walk into any Starbucks anywhere on the planet. The sign will be the same, the coffee will be the same, and the staff will be just as friendly. So people have an expectation. That's their brand. Now, let's talk about, we're not selling coffee. Let's talk about our business. And there's 3 key systems I think we need to focus on. Number one, technology systems. And this is what we need. We're not going to be talking about what is a good idea. This is what we absolutely must need. We need the latest smartphone. We do want to be up with technology. We want to be able to we need access online, and we also need to demonstrate that we have the latest technology. Even if it is a few $100s more than the phone, that would be just good enough. because we don't want to be just good enough. We want to exceed expectations. If our clients, especially those under 40, are carrying the latest and greatest, we need to be in that same groove. We need to have a powerful laptop that can store all the marketing and systems and help us with every aspect of offer preparation and communication. We need to have an iPad or tablet for presentation. I personally prefer the iPad just because I started with it, but you can go with an Android, and costs are coming down. You can get a tablet for $100, $200. It's fairly easy. Wireless printer for when you're doing offers on the road. I will no longer drive 2 hours back to the office to prepare an offer. And we actually have a system in our office where if I'm with a client, let's say at a property, and they're ready to do an offer, the office can prepare the offer for me, email it to me, comes up on my iPad. My client can initial it with their finger, and with the click of a button, I can email it to the listing agent. And that's a little bit more efficient than the old way. CRM software, client relationship management software. Again, redundant. I'm sorry. We're talking about Top Producer. We're talking about other systems like that. I don't care which one you use, Realty Juggler, Salesforce, but you have to have a proper CRM software. Outlook is not it, and an Excel spreadsheet is not it. If you're going to build a business, your single biggest value is your client base, and you need to have an effective system to allow you to communicate to them and market to them and stay in touch. You cannot work with filing or Rolodex. You cannot alarm things. It has to be organized. And lastly, in the area of technology, a little bit of crossover here, you're going to need a lead generation website, and you're also going to need a branded website. Your branded website is for everybody that knows you, so when they come to the page, they see your contact information, it's familiar, and they can search for real estate so they don't have to go anywhere else. And we'll be launching another webinar very, very soon on the technology around both branded and lead generation website. Lead generation website is really pure and simple. It's unbranded. Your contact information is not what's important on the front page. What's important is it's attracting eyeballs, and buyers and sellers click through, give you their information, and they turn into leads. It does require time. It does require money. You can't do it for free, and you can't do it for $50 a month, but we'll show you how to literally set up a lead gen website that can turnkey give you as many leads as you want, and you decide. You can have 50 leads a month, you can have 500 leads a month, you can have 5,000 leads a month, depending on how you structure it and how much resources you have for marketing, because we're talking, of course, about search engine optimization, or with both organic lead gen as well as pay-per-click. And if you're not sure what all that means, don't worry about it. We'll get to it on that training. Next, we talked about lead gen systems, and we need multiple lead gen systems. We need the proper way to do open house marketing. And if you haven't generated leads from open house lately, it's because you haven't done open houses or you haven't done them effectively. And this is another 1-hour discussion in each of these categories. But open houses are a great way to generate leads. Whether or not you have listings, you can still do open houses. You can open house other agents in your office. Number 2, local business networking. We can show you a way where, if you're willing to put the time and energy in, and again, I've seen agents say, that's a great idea, and they give it 2 hours 1 week, and they say, that didn't work. So again, all of these systems are ones that you implement over time. And it's not about, wow, I didn't get any leads in 2 hours. No, it's about building it over time, where you connect with local business, you send them leads, they send you leads, and trust me, I know it works. But I do know that this, like everything else, requires a little bit of time every week over time. Next, we have geographic marketing systems, probably the least effective of, especially when compared to online lead generation. But it can still work if you want to dominate an area. But you can't do it with the old ways. The typical just listed, the typical just sold, they simply do not work. And we figured out what works in some areas. There still requires some testing, because there's different areas with different demographics, and that impacts things in our city. So we have a kind of a unique market in that sense. Next is social media networking. And we're not talking about putting your open houses on Facebook. That's not social media networking, social media lead gen. There are ways to do that. We're going to be doing a separate training call on, again, each one of these lead gen systems. Seminar lead generation system. I've been doing seminars for years. It is ridiculous how many leads we get from the seminars. We just did a seminar recently for an opportunity in Florida. We had 35 people in attendance. We had 18 people request information and a meeting. we have a contact in Florida, so we're not going down to Florida to sell real estate, obviously. But I've got 18 leads that I'm going to be pushing off to our contact in Florida. And out of 18 leads that we generated, I got to imagine 5 or 6 are going to buy a property, and 5 or 6 referral fees after a 1-hour meeting where we met with 30 people all at once. That's a fantastic way to do it. And of course, we can talk to doing seminars for first-time buyers, for investors, for sellers, for retirees, for condo buyers. You name it, you have to have a specific target market, but very effective strategy. Next, online lead generation. Again, we can't go into too much detail, but there is a very simple system. And in fact, there's a way, I alluded earlier to the point that for online lead gen, you have to be able to write a check. But what if you partnered with local businesses and say, look, I'm going to be generating leads, and they're going to need a mortgage, they're going to need insurance, they're going to need a lawyer. How about we all kick in the money to the lead gen costs and split up the leads 4 ways? You handle the mortgage, you handle the insurance, you handle the legal, we can bring in the home inspector, contractors. You can literally go on and on and on. On an extreme case, I've got a friend of mine in Atlanta, Georgia that's done this, and his website actually makes him money because his cost is X, and his contribution from his business partners is 3X. So, just to give you an idea. So if you want to think outside the box, as opposed to thinking like a typical realtor, there's a way to get this done. And then, of course, you need to have a lead management system. You need to make sure, A, that you're returning people's calls back, but you're putting them into the pipeline. Here's where the CRM comes in. You're following up with drip emails. You're following up with mail. You're following up with calls. You're following up with live face-to-face, invites to seminars. These are all these things. Again, you're not going to do this overnight. But imagine, for example, that you just decided, look, I'm going to work on 3 of these, just 3 of them, not all 6. Maybe you don't like 3 of them. I'm going to pick the 3 that make me the most comfortable. This month, I'm going to work on getting one up to speed and running. Next month, I'm going to work on marketing system number 2 while making sure that marketing system number 1 is still operational. Month 3, I'm going to work on marketing system number 3 while 1 and 2 are operational. Now you have 3 marketing systems operational, and what if you're only getting 10 leads from one, from each every single month? Now you're getting 30 leads in general. Month 4, guess what you do? You look at system number 1 and you say, how did we do? What are the results? How do we tweak it? And how do we take it from 10 to 20? And month 5 and 6 and so on. So it's progress, not perfection. You get the ball rolling. If you're not sure about 3, pick 1. Get it going and just get started. And don't try to figure out what is ideal. Just throw the hat over the fence and get it going. We also need operational systems. And of course, we're talking about the buyer presentation. We're talking about the seller presentation. We're talking about a system to provide world-class service during the transaction. So what do I mean by that? Well, for example, you're setting up a buyer on Prospect Match. You set up an alarm in your CRM to call them at least every week. Sometimes weeks can go by, and they're getting their emails, but they might be busy. They might miss the perfect home, or they might just think that you're incommunicado, so they're not really getting any value. So it's about staying in touch and seeing them on a regular basis and previewing the homes that are coming up on the market. Many times, I would check and see the perfect home come up on Prospect Match for my client because I'm getting the emails every day, and the client didn't notice it or didn't have time to check their emails. And I remind them, and they go, wow, that sounds interesting, let's go. And I've done many deals that way just because I stayed on top of it, okay? Deal closing, value-added services. Well, we've made it a sort of a policy with our team that at closing, you need to pick up the keys at the lawyer for the client, meet them at the house, change the locks, bring in a cleaning crew if necessary, spend $100, $200, $300 on your client at closing, take them for dinner to celebrate, and be there. Just being there is a huge value and a fantastic long-term investment. And of course, after-sale service program. Stay in touch. Call them the day after closing. Call them the day after moving in. How's everything in? Is it still dusty? Do you need a hand with anything? Do you have any questions? I would call them typically a couple days after the closing every day. I might call them a week later. I might call them 30 days later. And then I would call them every 90 days forever. And I would call them once a year and do the annual review, which we've talked about. Give them an annual report. We're showing the local sales in their area and highlighting their amortization of their mortgage because you know the details from the file, and just being there, kind of like the doctor doing an annual checkup. These are all operational systems. Again, same kind of thing. Work on buyer presentation this week. Work on seller presentation next week. Work on process for world-class service, and so on and so on and so on. Okay? So if any of you are feeling a little overwhelmed, I know the feeling. And, you know, where do I begin is the question I get most often. First of all, you need to schedule a time, and now this is call this the homework phase of today's training. Number one, you need to schedule a time each and every week on the same day at the same time. You pick the time. It might be, for example, Friday morning at 10 o'clock. I'm going to schedule 90 minutes, and minimum 90 minutes and no more than 90 minutes. That seems to be the ideal time for you to kind of dive into a project uninterrupted. And we say 90 minutes uninterrupted. Turn off your email notifier. Turn off your phone. Work on that project and that project alone. Because I don't know about you, but I get interrupted. I'm off track. I don't know where I was. That 30 minutes of thought is just evaporated because I got interrupted. So interruption-free appointment with yourself to work on your business. You know, as the e-myth says, you know, we work in our business or work on our business. Okay. We also need time to work outside of our business, time off. We'll get to that another time. But you need to schedule that block of time, and you pick it up. You pick it. I don't care how you schedule it. But if you have Outlook, you have a BlackBerry, you got your schedule in Google, whatever system you're using, schedule it as a recurring appointment with yourself, and do not book an appointment. No matter how many million-dollar buyers call you and say they want to see a house during that time, you have an appointment. And just imagine it was an appointment with another client. You wouldn't reschedule one client to see another client, and that's your most important appointment of the week. So do that now, schedule it, and let me remind you that the process of our business is actually pretty simple, but let me walk you through it again, okay? Number one is we need to understand what target market are we looking at with each marketing. You can have several different marketing initiatives, but with each one, select your target market. And whether it's first-time buyers or condo buyers or people that live in E4 or C13, that's up to you. Then you have to have an effective lead generation system, number two. Then number three, when the leads come in, your job is to qualify, educate, and compel them to meet with you. Not convince, compel. Now you have an appointment. Now our job is to provide a values-based client interview, and we've done trainings and we'll continue to do trainings on the buyer interview, the seller interview, that whole listing mastery, working with investors. Values-based interview will have you sign up people. Our job is now to deliver world-class service, and once the deal closes, provide after-sale service that is exceptional. And what's interesting about that is we know over time what will start to happen is you will start to get leads from your database. And what's nice is they just jump right into it's like cutting in line. You don't have to market to them. There's no lead gen required. You're not qualifying them too much. They're already ready to meet with you in most cases. Come list my home, or Johnny told me you're a great agent and I want to buy. When can we meet? Now you go right to the meeting. It's actually so much easier. It's like getting high-quality wholesale leads from your database at relatively zero cost because you've already spent the time, money, and energy nurturing your existing client base. Okay, so let's do the hard work now. Okay, and again, this is something you can repeat. You can repeat this over and over and do it for yourself. But because we're doing this in broadcast mode, I put in some typical numbers, and I would say the minimum benchmark for everybody on our team and everybody out there really is 250 in terms of gross income. Now, if you have a hard time, if your gut tells you 250 doesn't sound believable or possible, then you're right. But if you believe it is possible, you're also right, because what you believe is actually true. So you got to be careful what garbage you let your mind spit out. Because I can tell you, I know many new agents that have very little experience that following the systems we're talking about can generate that 250 in gross, because we're talking about 25 transactions. And we're lucky in the Toronto area because our transaction value is so high, an average of 10. So you're talking about 25 deals, basically 2 a month. But let's break it down. You did 250. That means because you average 10,000 a deal, you averaged 25 deals for that year. And let's say your business is more buyer skewed than listing skewed when you're starting out. We want to change that. But you worked with 15 buyers and you took 10 listings. We know that to do 25 transactions, you probably need about 50 appointments because you're going to convert half of those appointments. That's a good benchmark. Okay, it could be a little less, a little bit more. And for you to get 50 appointments, you probably need to get about 200 quality leads. I'm not talking about 200 online leads. Talk about 200 qualified leads from your warm market or qualified from the other cold sources. So if you break that down, you really only need 20 leads a month, assuming you're working 10 months, not 12. And if it's 20 leads a month, you're only working 5 days a week times 4 weeks, you need 1 good lead a day. And 1 good lead a day would be fantastic for anybody. It's manageable, but only if you have the systems and only if you use the skills from the different systems we have to convert and just make your life easier. Because I know people that can get 200 leads and can't convert them. They just don't know what to get to the next step. So it requires every aspect of this to be understood. And one of your homework assignments really after this call is to figure out what is that number. Now, if 250 is too low for you, good for you, double it. Go to 500. Think big. Make it a big, hairy, audacious goal. So if 500 is your gross, then obviously your average commission, it could still be the same, maybe a little higher. Number of deals is double. So you need a whopping 2 leads a day, and that's your job. Every day when you get up, find that 1 or 2 leads, quality leads per day, meet with them, sell them a house, get referrals, and move on. There's another thing we need to consider. I won't go into this in too much detail, but you need to look at, breakdown of cash flow. So in this example, 250 gross will give you business expenses of 50,000. You got to pay income tax. A lot of us forget that, which gives us, let's say, net income of 125. And let's assume our personal expenses. Now remember, you're paid off your car, your cell phone, all your business marketing. You've got 75,000 a year just for your personal expenses. For most of us, that's a healthy number, and that leaves you savings of 50,000. We need, as entrepreneurs, remember we're business owners, to have a business that makes profit. If all you do is pay all your bills, you just have a job. You need to have a profitable business, and that's a good formula. Again, if 75 is not enough for you and 50,000 in savings is not enough, double it. Shoot for 250. Shoot for that big, hairy, audacious goal and just double the numbers. What's interesting is if you double the numbers, your business expenses won't double. Your personal expenses won't double. So you'll end up with a much bigger number here for savings. And, everybody's different, but that's sort of a good benchmark. So now what? Well, again, let's talk about our homework again. Number 1, get up early. I know it sounds kind of simple, but imagine this. We're talking about a $250,000 a year job. And imagine I told you today that, guys, I want to hire somebody on a $250,000 salary as a salesperson on my team. How many would be interested? Let me get a text from you guys. Who's interested in a $250,000? I'm waiting for the text. You guys got to get your fingers typing. Tony, okay, Leslie's in. Is that Leslie and Jay? You want 250 each? Tony, I got a Roger from Tony. I got a yes, please. Okay, got it. Now here's the job interview. Are you ready, guys? The job interview was already done. We had somebody quietly follow you around with a video camera and look at your schedule for the last 30 days. How many are now nervous that they probably won't get that $250,000 job? How many think that based on following you around for the last 30 days, you qualify for that $250,000? Anybody brave enough to text me now? All of a sudden the screen goes silent. So you got to get up early. You got to create that schedule. I'm not saying don't have a life. I'm saying make sure that your business, you get up early, you get your stuff done, and you schedule your life. You schedule the time with family. You schedule the time with walk the dog and proverbial and otherwise. But you work hard and you get it done. And as Branson said, do what's required now so that you can do what you want later. And I think that's where everything starts. Number 2, get organized. And get organized really in every aspect of this, but one of the simple things that I recommend is color coding files, for example. So we have our active buyers in blue folders, we have our active sellers in green folders, and all of the deals pending, the deals that are written, even if they're conditional, go into red folders. So we can organize them, look at them at a glance, and know what we're dealing with. And we're not going to get into too much detail about understanding numbers. That's a different training. But understanding your pipeline report and looking at what you're dealing with and looking at your conversion ratios, you need to know your numbers. And as far as lead gen, you need to choose one at a time. You can't be working willy-nilly. And I've had different discussions with many of you out there where we know a particular system works in a particular way, in a certain way, and you'll go out there and you'll change it. You'll try it differently because you think in your infinite wisdom you might know better. So I'll remind you to write down 3 words. It's not on the slides, but I want you to write this down. Number 1, imitate. Number 2, assimilate. And number 3, innovate. Don't jump to innovation right away. Don't think that you know better than all the thousands of people before you. Try something blindly, with blind imitation right away from the get-go. Assimilate it. Get your hands into it. Then if you see areas for improvement, then we bring it back to the group. We'll discuss it and say, hey, you know what about this? Let's test this. Maybe we'll get a better conversion number on that, or let's try adding this, or the feedback I've gotten about this, and so on. So we imitate first, then we assimilate, then we go to innovation. You don't start with innovation. It just doesn't work. Okay? And sorry, but you got to talk to people. You got to see people. You got to add 5 contacts every day to your CRM system. 5 contacts a day is 25 a week, is 100 a month, is 1,000 in a year. And at 1,000 in a year, following our systems, following our warm market follow-up structure, following up with all of the email broadcasts and the blog posts that we push out, all of that stuff, we know you're going to get a 10% ROI in your database if you follow all of the systems, all of them. Permission-based conversation. You can't just say, well, I've got 1,000 names because I have a Rolodex of 1,000 names. No, you have to have a conversation with every single one of them, and we're not going to go into a detail here as well, but there's a script for that, and we've shared that with you guys, and we're happy to review it with you again. You have a conversation with every single one. You add them to the database, and if you still haven't got a CRM system, a real CRM system, and haven't started using it, today's the day to start, no excuses. And if you don't, my role, my responsibility ends today because I explained to you the importance of getting that CRM and getting it set up now. Because if you don't, it's up to you. You don't have to do anything we talk about here. But if you don't do it, then you're never going to have a business. You're always going to have a sales job. And that's okay. If you're in it just for a year or two and you could care less where it ends up, fine. But if you want to be serious, you want to make your life easier, and you want to build something that can give you residual, you got to get this done, period. The real secret to success is not just in knowing what to do, it's doing what we know. And, you know, certainly I hope I shared with you some new ideas and continue to share new ideas, but most of this stuff we already know. We just need to get inspiration for, you know, why should we do it? So, you know, I think for all of us, and I'm no exception, you need to find your why. Why are you in the business? What would get you motivated? What would get you fired up? You need to think outside the box here. I created a vision board a long time ago. Most of us have heard the concept. Many of us have vision boards. But a vision board is, for me, a gentle reminder. I've got this set up on my laptop. I've got it set up on my iPad. I've got it set up on my desktop. I have photos at home. It's just, you know, anytime I'm having a rough day or a challenge, I go back to my vision board to remind myself, you know, why am I in this business and what am I doing it for? And I'm just going to show you the things on my vision board. I've also got, you know, pictures of my family and my kids and my parents and objectives in life. But let me just show you the toys. Let me show you the fun stuff. First of all, I took this picture on the California coastline, and this always reminds me of what I need to do on a regular basis just to recharge. This is just another house that I'd like to have. Interesting design. Of course, I'd like to have somewhere down south in the Caribbean would be nice with a few little pools. And I'd invite you guys down for sure, but only if you did just set up your CRM and showed me that you had all those contacts. This is my idea of a pretty cool theater for my basement, you know, and on and on. This is the kind of vacation. This is, for me, is perfect. I just want to be in a warm place on the beach with nothing, no phone, no laptop, nothing, and I'm going to do this on a regular basis. For me, it's, you know, once a month would be nice. I'm not there yet, but once a quarter is certainly doable, and certainly one that we want to shoot for. And believe it or not, that's actually me scuba diving in Cozumel. I absolutely love scuba diving. It's one of the most incredible things that I've done, my favorite sport. And I also want to challenge myself. So, you know, friends of mine climbed to the top of Kilimanjaro and took this shot. And this is one of the things I want to do very, very soon. So, you know, just something for inspiration. And I hope this was time well spent for you guys today. I know I went a little beyond schedule, but I want you to take it seriously, review the recording once you get it, do your homework, And remember, it's three things that will get you to success. It's having the right mindset, it's doing the right thing, that's mechanics, and it's mentorship. So mentorship means show up to as many of the live trainings as possible, if not all of them. Show up early, stay late, network with other people in the room, practice, role play, do all of that. But you need to know exactly what you want. You need to have your business plan laid out in detail. And not just, I want to make more money. In detail, how much do you want to make? Exactly. How many deals? Where are you going to get it from? What systems are you going to have? Technology, number one. Number two, following a proven system. Don't try to wing it. No one person knows better than the collective. We're sharing ideas, and we've created an environment that can really give you the shortcut. I'm no mastermind. You know what I'm really good at? I'm really good at identifying what works and just copying. If you can copy, you can do this. And lastly, you got to take action. You can't just talk. You can't just talk a big game. And, you know, we've all been guilty of that in our past, talking, talking, talking. You have to demonstrate. You have to take massive action. And you have to go above and beyond the call. We are done for the day. I can't talk anymore. I need a drink of water. So I'm going to let you guys go. This concludes our mastermind training today, the ultimate business plan. If you have any questions, you know where to reach us. Have an amazing day, and go sell something, guys.